Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.
Hey, it's me, the Quenchies. I'm that late afternoon craving you just can't shake. Wait, what's that? Welch's Grape Aid? No! Made with real fruit and no added sugar, nothing answers the call of the Quenchies like Grape Aid. Got the Quenchies? Grab a Grape Aid in your juice aisle.
Are you a people person or do you prefer keeping your own company? Well, what if I'm a people person who keeps his own company by default?
So mark none of the above.
Well, there are no boxes for none of the above. That would introduce too many variables into their mushroom head, number-crunching little world.
I'm sensing bitterness.
No, it's just these people can't tell from one multiple-choice test what we're going to be doing for the rest of our lives. It's ridiculous.
I'm kind of curious to find out what sort of career I could have.
What, and suck all the spontaneity out of being young and stupid? I'd rather live in the dark.
I'm not going to be young forever.
Yes, but I'll always be stupid.
Welcome to another episode of Boys Watching Buffy. We're just two boys watching every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and reviewing it, giving our thoughts. We are your hosts. I'm Joe Welke.
I'm Vance.
And today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 9, which is titled What's My Line? Part 1. Directed by David Solomon, written by Howard Gordon and Marty Noxon. The original air date was November 17th, 1997, to an audience of 5.04 million people. And it looks like this is David Solomon's directing debut for the series, and it's Howard Gordon and Marty Noxon's writing debut for the series. Because they have new Wikipedia stuff.
Cool.
Yeah,
I have no comment on that.
Yeah. This is a juicy one, though.
It is. A lot to get into. Yeah.
As I watched it, after I was finished, I texted Vance. I was like, "Ooh, we got some spice."
Yeah. I mean, something we've been wanting to see for a while, and it's here.
Yeah. So should we just get into it, Vance?
Let's do it.
All right. So we start the episode off with just a Angel and Drusilla recap. We kind of see what they're up to, and Drusilla's sick, or not Angel. I'm already fucking up. Spike and Drusilla recap.
Yeah, they always do a Spike and Drusilla recap. It's like that's the main storyline for the season, and then these other episodes are just like filler episodes. Not filler fully, but like, oh yeah, we need a fun episode between all the Spike. Like every time there's a Spike one, it's like, remember?
Yeah. Spike's. We're getting a recap, and then we get to what's going on in this episode. There's a career day at school, and Xander's annoyed that he has to do a career day test, and he's like, "Oh, how are they going to tell me what I'm going to be just off of this one multiple choice test?" And Willow's super excited about it, and Buffy's like, "I don't know why I even got to take this. I know what I'm doing. I'm killing vampires for my whole life, I guess."
I guess.
And it brings up like also we need to say our prediction from last episode for this episode is way wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh, we thought it was like something to do with theater or something, right?
Yeah. Way off.
Way off. Yeah, but like I think you were about to say, Buffy has to have some type of employment or income when she's older.
Oh, I was gonna say it's more to your point of like, why is Buffy even in school? She should just be at vampire training stuff.
The Watcher should have a fund that pays the Slayer to be the Slayer.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's exactly what it should be. The Watcher should be like a super, super rich, like, sponsor. Like takes donations or something.
Or like the city it just puts together. It comes out of the taxes, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, I protect Sunnydale, so, like, maybe 5% of the taxes.
Then I guess then the whole government would need to know about the existence of vampires, and
It would explain a lot of missing persons.
Oh, absolutely it would. So yeah, Buffy's like, why do I even gotta do this? I know exactly what I'm gonna be doing. And then everyone's like, you could do it just for fun. And Buffy's like, no. It sucks. So then we go to Drusilla, and she's doing a tarot card reading, and their cards are comically large so that everyone can see it.
Yeah, I guess she has psychic abilities, because it kind of happened before that she could tell, like, oh, something's coming. Something's here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy translating. Well, this is where we get. Is this the part where we get into the book?
Yeah.
There's some other nerdy vampire who's a translator. You could tell because he has glasses.
Yeah.
Which sucks. If you're a vampire and your vision is bad, you still need glasses. like it doesn't cure vision. The demon's like, I need glasses to see through these eyes.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
I just thought about that now.
I was too focused on his stupid like 1700s gear. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you really know that dude's a Poindexter.
Yeah,
like,
he looked like a 1970s like accountant.
Yeah, and he's like thumbing through the book that the one vampire stole from Giles, and Spike is like, "Why aren't you translating faster?" And then the guy's like, "It doesn't make any sense. The stuff that I'm translating, like it's all weird." And he's like, "Well, aren't you supposed to translate it?"
Yeah, it's like I hate when like people are yelling at someone to do something like that. So he's like, "Oh yeah, I should translate it. Thanks, Spike."
Yeah, isn't that what you do? But then we figure out that the book is actually in a code. It's a coded book, so the text doesn't make sense because you need like a decoder.
Yeah, and Drusilla's like, "We need a key." And he's like, Spike's like, "Oh, really? Okay, thanks for that info." I was like, Spike, come on. She's got a lot of good, like, future seeing. Like, she's a seer. So, like, you know, put her involved. Let her get involved with this.
I think there's a moment, too, where she tries to get involved, and he's like, "Not now!
Yeah.
I'm busy!"
He kind of flips out on her, and then she does her cutesy, I'm crazy thing, and then he softens immediately.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Can we dance now, Spike?" It's like, "Yes, love, we can dance." It's like, what?
Is this the scene where they kiss too? It was a really passionate kiss, or was that later?
I'm not quite sure. I don't think I have it written down, but I know that they dance.
Yeah.
So then Buffy's just walking around a graveyard, as she does. And she sees some kind of like suspicious glowing door. There's something going on in there. And she's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird that something's going on over there." And she opens the door, and it's the translator, and he's hammering something that's, we don't really get to see it, but he's hammering at like a wall.
Yeah, because in the book, or in the tarot cards, it was just like a picture of a mausoleum, basically. Mm-hmm. And then Spike's like, "Sure, I'm going to go send my guys here." And it was like, they know where that is. Like,
they knew exactly where it was.
Yeah.
But. So the translator's in there. He's hammering something, and Buffy's about to go investigate. But then another vampire comes from behind and attacks her as the translator's leaving. And she's like, "All right, I got to kill this one that's attacking me, and then I'll get back to you, translator." So she kills the one guy, and then the translator disappears. She's like, "Oh no, he escaped." And that's basically that. Yeah, there's not really much to delve into there.
She doesn't go after him. She doesn't look around. She's just like, "All right, that's done."
So after that, we cut to Angel just lurking in Buffy's bedroom.
Yeah, why? Yeah, he's just looking around at all of her stuff.
Yeah.
And her room looks completely different, too. It doesn't look like the rooms from the first season to me. But yeah.
Yeah. But he's holding one of her stuffed animals, and she's climbing through the window, and she just like takes a second to view what he's doing, to be like, "What is Angel doing here? What's going on?" And then she just drops a heavy bag, and it startles Angel, and she's like, "How do you like it, motherfucker?" Which I kind of enjoyed.
Yeah.
She's like, "How do you like getting snuck up on?" And he's like, oh, God, okay, well. And she's like, oh, you having a good time with my stuffed pig? And he's like, yeah. Guess what, though, Buffy? Had a bad feeling. Something dangerous and something bad's happening. And she's like, do you ever have any good feelings?
Do you ever have any more information?
Right? Like I think this is the vaguest of all.
Yeah, I just had a feeling something bad was happening. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she kind of explains like, yeah, I saw a vampire hammering on a wall and I killed a vampire, but the one got away. And then somehow, I don't know what goes on where they transition to like lovey-dovey stuff.
Well, she's talking about her aptitude test and that she doesn't have a future and she wishes she could just be a normal teen. And he looks at the picture of her as a kid on the ice skating or whatever. And they start talking about ice skating and stuff.
Yeah. I do love that at one point Buffy's kind of like, I just want a normal life. And then Angel's like, yeah, so do I. And then she was like, yeah, you'll just have to settle for being my cradle-robbing creature of the night boyfriend.
Yeah. He's like, she's like, I just want to be a teen again. And he's like, I just want to be a young teen. And he's like, I'll never be young again.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they throw the cradle-robbing line in there, which is... In Twilight, I think I've never seen the Twilight movies. I've just seen like stuff about them.
Oh, shit, is that next for us?
No. That is a Patreon exclusive if they want us to do that. We're going to have to get paid for those. We're going to have to get paid big for those. It's just like, okay, so you're a vampire, you're older, but like how old was he when he died, technically, you know?
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
Yeah. It still seems like he's too old for him to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he was, if I had to guess, I would have guessed like in the show he's like 21 or 22. So even still, that's...
I mean, yeah, he could be 25. I don't know. Him and Spike look like they're definitely late 20s. Like when they turn.
Well, I mean, so does Xander.
Yeah, but true. Yeah. It's hard.
That's why I was like, he's probably 21 or something.
Which is, I guess, fine. I mean, 21 and dating the Slayer, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Good on him. But yeah, then he sees Buffy's picture where she loved Dorothy Hamill and she wanted to be Dorothy Hamill and she was really big into figure skating. And then Angel's like, well, guess what? I know of an ice skating rink that's closed on Tuesdays. And then she's like, tomorrow's Tuesday. And he's like, you know what I'm thinking? And she's like, yes, I do. So they're planning a date.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, this is cool. This is fine. Yeah. I don't it's interesting that they have to go to they can't just go to a ice skating rink that's open.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, why does it need to be closed?
Yeah.
I guess they want privacy.
I guess. I mean, sure.
Yeah,
her mom's away and he's in the bedroom, so I don't know what more.
Oh, I loved that too. When she's like, you don't need to whisper, my mom's not home. But like, that's just how Angel talks.
Yeah.
And then he's like, your mom's not home? Then why did you crawl through the window? And then Buffy looks kind of like, oh, yeah, that is weird. I guess it was just force of habit, I guess.
Yeah.
And they both kind of look at each other like, huh, that was weird.
Yeah.
So then it's the next day, and we get the results from the career fair, and Cordelia got like motivational speaker
and personal shopper.
And personal shopper, and she's like, this checks out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Xander's like, what? Motivational speaker for what? Like, how to be an asshole to everybody?
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, it's better than what you got. And Xander got prison guard.
Yeah.
Which... I would love to see what he answered on that test for him to get that.
I love how specific it is. It's not like, oh, here's a bunch of things. It's like prison guard.
Correction officer. That's all you get.
That's it. Like nothing else. Like he can't work in a toll booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he walks over and Buffy's talking about to Willow about Angel planning their ice skating date, and she's super excited about it. And then Xander comes over and he's like, hey, if you had to guess a career for me, would you guess that I would be a prison guard? And everyone's like, ha, 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 no. And then he's like, well, Buffy, guess what you got? You got police officer. And Buffy's like, police? Are you kidding me? The scum of the earth? I would never be a police officer.
I know. She is not happy with that at all.
She is so pissed about it.
Imagine being like a police officer in the 90s or an aspiring one. Like you're taking the like test and you're just watching Buffy and it's your favorite show. And Buffy's like, spit. Ugh, gross.
Ugh. I'd rather die. I'd rather have died by the master's hand than be a cop. It's just, damn, dude. I mean, you know that you are policing the town of vampires. But then there's some kind of mystery going on because Willow's like, did you see what I got? And Xander's like, I looked for you and you weren't on there. And Willow's like, I took the test. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I wouldn't be on there. And then Xander's like, well, you aren't on there. I'm sorry.
She doesn't even go over to confirm. Like, Xander's an idiot. You have to walk over and check yourself. But yeah. But
they see Giles carrying like a comically large stack of books back to the library. And Buffy's like, I got to go check in with Giles. He's been a lot more on my ass about training. And we got to go and read all these books, I guess. And then so she goes and meets up with Giles and he's going through all of the Watcher journals and he comments that they're, pompous and long-winded. And Buffy's like, I think I know the type.
It's crazy that they treat reading like it's something that they all are speed readers. Like the amount of books he has, it would take
and they're
weeks.
Thick.
Yeah.
They're like 1,000 pages at minimum, and there's like 150 of them. And he's like, man, I've been going through the Watcher journals. Like, how?
Oh, yeah.
You also have to figure that some of the Watcher journals are like in different languages. Yeah. So is he just like a master of all language?
I guess. I don't know.
Also, how long has he been a Watcher? Like, I feel like...
Yeah, he's been a Watcher since, he did have his crazy time in college, playing in his band. Yeah.
And I guess after college.
And possessing.
But he's been a Watcher for at least like, I would guess like 30 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's just getting around to reading the other Watcher journals?
I don't know. Why was he reading them? Just cause?
I think he was trying to figure out why they stole that one book or something. Well, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what he says.
Yeah. And then Buffy makes specific mention about, she doesn't want to be the Slayer anymore with this whole tired song and dance that we do where Giles is like, well, you have to be. It's your sacred duty. And then she's like, I know. There's only one, and it's me, and I'm the only Slayer, and I get it, but I don't want to do it. Maybe I'll just kill myself or something. And it's just like, dude, I thought we were done with this.
I know. Every time they have this scene, I'm like, Buffy, I get that you don't want to be the Slayer, but like, do you want to be Willow or Xander? Like,
yeah.
I can understand not wanting to be the Slayer, but it has to be like, I don't want to be the Slayer, and I also don't want demons and vampires to exist. Because if they're going to still exist, I'd much rather be the Slayer.
Yeah, because like, Willow and Xander know that vampires exist, and they aren't powerful superhumans.
Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, this knowledge, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Like, we can help you find out where they are so you can somehow do karate on them. Because I thought about this watching this episode. Could you just train a really good martial artist how to kill vampires? And would they be just as good as Buffy?
I feel like they'd probably be better.
Like, Buffy is super strong. She's superhuman strong.
Or just like a skilled like archer or something.
Yeah, I just feel like if you learned some martial arts, knew where to stab a vampire, and just had some demon knowledge, I think you could be a good... I think you could do it. Yeah.
Here's a question. Have we seen anyone besides Buffy kill a vampire?
I feel like Willow and I feel like Xander's killed a vampire. He definitely killed his best friend by accident.
He did, yeah.
I feel like he stabbed a couple people.
Okay. Yeah, because then there's
I feel
nothing
like
like...
Giles have done it. It's nothing. I mean, anybody can kill a vampire.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing inherently like special to the Slayer aside from just being more powerful than people. Like, what is the point?
You should be training an army of Slayer underlings. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She should come into that library and be like, who are these other Cobra Kai members that you have in here training?
Yeah, especially if they're living on a Hellmouth and it's just like it's just her against the Hellmouth, basically.
And they're lucky Angel's a good vampire because he shows up to save the day like randomly all the time.
Of course, he's always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she wants to quit being the Slayer and blah blah blah. So then Spike has like a golden cross that is somehow the decoder key for the book. And they're like, all right, this is exactly what we need because in this book is the cure for Drusilla's illness and it's going to make her whole and strong again. And that's the whole reason why they're doing this. And the translator's like, this is all well and good. And Drusilla's like, this is all well and good, but you know, what would really be even better is if you killed the Slayer. And then Spike's like, well, then I guess it's time for me to bring in the big guns. Mm-hmm. And the translator's like, oh, no, not the big guns. And I was like, you haven't brought in the big guns yet?
I know. I thought you were the big gun.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And we've seen the Master hire Hitman before. And it was the most underwhelming Hitman performance I've ever seen.
I mean, there was like, it was the Killer 3 or whatever. Yeah. And then he also had the Anointed one that turned out to be fucking nothing.
Yeah.
And now Spike's like, I gotta hire my own 3 people. And they're the Order of Taraka. And they're bounty hunters. And they're being tasked with killing Buffy.
Yeah.
And and
somehow Drusilla has these magical tarot cards that have exactly what she needs on them. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, here's the 3, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't think they know what bounty hunting means. I think they just think it sounds cool, like because I guess the Spike is like, I gotta put a bounty on Buffy's head.
Yeah, you put a bounty on someone's head, and then you can do dead or alive, I guess, in this world.
You know what's... You have to admit, though, like, the title Bounty Hunter sounds really fucking cool.
Yeah, because you're basically hunting for money. You're basically capturing criminals, quote unquote, for money.
Yeah.
If they had Dog the Bounty Hunter come in, because they do have a guy that kind of looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, they do.
It would be amazing if they just brought Dog the Bounty Hunter just into the show and was like, he's actually chasing down Buffy.
Yeah. So after Spike's like, all right, I'm getting the Order of Taraka in on this. Xander and Willow are at the career fair and they run into the principal and the principal's like, where is she? And they do that whole song and dance of like, oh, I don't know. Are you talking about Buffy? And even he's sick of it. He's like, look, I'm done with this.
He's like, this is my only scene. He's like, this is my only scene this episode. Let's just get through this.
Yeah. And so he goes away. Xander says some like witty quips towards him about like, you know, one day I can't wait to tell you exactly how I feel about you. And the principal's like, nah. So then he goes away. Xander's like, all right, I got to go do prison guard stuff. Yeah. And then 2 suits show up and they take Willow away. And they're like, Ms. Rosenberg. Is it Rosenberg or Rosenblum?
Rosenberg, okay. I think. Yeah.
Miss Willow, you need to come with us. And she's like, what? Why? What did I do? And they're like, just come with us, please. And I was like, oh no, what's going on with this?
If I'm Willow, it's no way I go quietly with 2 guys in suits after everything I've seen.
Well, it is during the day.
After everything I've seen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, demons can exist during the day.
Yeah, it's just like I need something. I need some type of information.
Yeah. So they take her behind this curtain and they're like, we have been scouting you for a long time. We're a super mega famous software company and we've been, keeping tabs on you. And we think that you'd be excellent to join our ranks. And she's like, is this because of my test? And they're like, the test is a bunch of bullshit. That doesn't matter at all. We've seen you hack into several governmental things on the computer.
Yeah. We should be arresting you right now.
And we want you to be our next recruit. And she's like, am I the only one? And they're like, no, there is one other. And then we kind of panned to reveal behind her is Seth Green as Oz. And she sits down and he offers her like crudité or something. Canapes. I wanted him to say something like, who's that girl?
Right? Like,
I wanted some kind of payoff for that.
You need him to say, it's that girl.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Or it's you.
Something. Not just canapes. Like, he's been curious who she is this whole time. And now she's just sitting right next to her. And we don't really know what they said to each other.
Exactly, dude. That's what I was just about to bring up. And that's the last we see and hear of this secret software meeting. And it's just not acknowledged at all afterwards.
Because it's part 1 of 2, I'm sure it comes up in the second half. The second part. I mean, this doesn't even have to be a part 1 or 2 episode, but I guess it is part of the same thing because whatever. But we'll find out next episode, but it's really underwhelming right there. Yeah.
It was just like, oh, and she doesn't mention it to anyone else afterwards.
No, they don't talk about it. She don't like, have you guys ever heard of this Oz guy? She doesn't even mention being a part of a secret software development thing.
Yeah. And I don't know. But while the career fair is going on, Giles and Buffy are at the graveyard to investigate the mausoleum and see what the guy took. And, there's some kind of joke of, Buffy's getting all pissy and Giles is like, why are you being like this? And she's like, because I just want to be a normal teenager, Giles. And then he says something about well, what career you should look into, being law enforcement.
Yeah.
And then Buffy gives him the dirtiest look you've ever in the history of television.
I had 2 thoughts on this, but now I have 3. The third thought that just popped in my mind was Giles is going through all the books of the Watchers. Do none of the Slayers make it to adulthood? Because wouldn't it be like, oh, this is what the Slayer did for work? Or this is the undercover thing. There has to be history of oh, the Slayer worked at a hospital and then she would, or something, they would have had to have some record of I don't know, or how they get paid or how they live or funding, whatever.
Yeah, because their point of tension is Buffy's talking to Giles and she's like, well, of course it makes sense that you're the Watcher and a librarian. You just read books all the time.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Just work at a spike making factory?
Yeah.
And he's like, good point.
But yeah, it's does he not know what other Slayers did? He knows all the other history of demons and vampires, but he doesn't know any history of Slayers.
In this canon, I don't know if this is the unaired pilot or if this is true in this one too, but did the last Slayer get killed that Giles was watching? Or was that just
it was
the
the last
pilot?
Watcher. It was in the unaired pilot that is alluded to. Buffy mentions the last Watcher I had, the one in LA, something bad happened to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not in this canon. Okay.
I mean, I think it's still probably in canon, but probably not as overtly mentioned.
Yeah.
But yeah. My other 2 thoughts about this. Giles is winded walking. He is out of breath somehow walking to this. I don't know what they did. Did they not drive here? But he seems like he went on a 20-mile hike.
Yeah.
And also they're going to the graveyard during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Which they almost never do.
Yeah.
It looked strange to see them out during the day.
Yeah, the only place we've seen them during the day is in the library.
The library and like school campus.
Yeah.
Like,
so it was very odd to see them like at an off-site location. And like you said, like Giles is winded and his top button's unbuttoned.
yeah.
And he's still wearing his like sport coat, but his cuffs on his shirt are unbuttoned. And I was just like, why don't you just take off?
Is there a deleted scene or something between here?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. But they go into the mausoleum and they find out that it is the resting place of an old watcher named Dulac. And he wrote some kind of, like, Giles is talking about how his watcher journal is what was stolen. And he wrote it in code. And the only thing that the vampire stole was a golden cross, that it was like the decoding thing for his journal, and it contains the cure for vampires.
Yeah, they kind of
illnesses or
talk about
something.
that later in the scene when they're in the library. But the thing about this Dulac guy is he created a bunch of keys and wrote all this stuff in code and destroyed all the keys except for one that he had buried with himself. And it makes me think of Breaking Bad and this great line, no half measures. And it's like, why? Why keep one around? Why destroy all of them, but then keep one?
Yeah, and also, I mean, Buffy even makes mention of this. She's like, so this guy was around for like 500 years and he's buried in Sunnydale?
Yes, it makes no sense. Like, of all conveniences, I'm happy they called that out. Like,
Yeah.
he just conveniently buried in Sunnydale.
Yeah, it was very, very convenient. And then Giles starts talking about, I don't know how he brings it up.
Well, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Is this is where Giles starts talking about the Order of Taraka, right?
You talking about at the graveyard?
Yeah.
Maybe. That's just
because we go from the graveyard to the bounty hunter metalhead biker looking guy.
Yeah.
So this metalhead biker guy gets off of a bus, and then
he's got a scar. He's basically a Scarface Terminator.
Yeah.
And he's coming into town from Los Angeles.
Yeah. Because we all I thought it was going to be Buffy's mom, because Buffy's mom is in LA.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Buffy's mom coming back, and maybe something bad was going to happen to Buffy's mom.
Nah, I figured once they mentioned she wasn't there that it was over.
So then we see some nerdy Poindexter looking guy walking down the street, and he sees Buffy's home, and he looks at it suspiciously, and then he goes to the next door neighbor's house, and he knocks on the door, and he's like, hey, I'm from Blush Boutique, and we are going to give you some free samples on some products. You want in? And the lady's like, free samples? Come on in.
Ladies love a free sample. That's what this episode's all about.
Of course.
Door-to-door salesman offering free samples? Of course.
Yeah. So he goes in, the door closes, and then we just hear a big scream. Mm-hmm. So we know that lady's screwed. And then after that, we see some pilot type guy, and he's looking around some kind of airplane shaft.
Cargo bay.
Yeah. And he sees something rustling around in the back. And he's like, hey, whoever's back there, you're not supposed to be here. Hey, whoever's back there, you're not supposed to be. And I didn't even see anything.
I didn't see anything either. Yeah.
Okay. So then he walks closer, and then this super sexy black lady just beats the shit out of that guy. And she like peeks her head out the window, and she's like looking, darting her eyes and looking back and forth like, did anybody see that? And then she leaves. And so you're like, oh snap, the Order of Taraka's here, and they're going to kill Buffy.
Yeah. And I gotta say, the door-to-door salesman seems really threatening.
Yeah.
Later we find out even more, but
yeah. I have questions. Yeah. So then the whole gang, Giles, Buffy, Xander, Willow, they're researching about Dulac's cross and how it's a decoder ring, basically. And Buffy's like, I need to actually go because I have somewhere to be. And then Giles is like, this is a matter of life and death. And she's like, I'm not good at this stuff anyway.
Yeah, this was one of those scenes where I'm like, I get it, Buffy, like, but you just learned that really dangerous thing. They started talking. I don't know if they haven't talked about the hitmen yet, but they're just like, hey, we got this. Like, he told them about the Duloc thing, and they have the book, and they find out that they're trying to, like, whatever in the book helps heal sick vampires, whatever that means. And they were like, oh, like Drusilla? And you're like, oh, wow, this involves Spike, the guy who tried to kill you a bunch. And she's like, nah, I'm supposed to go ice skating.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it, but like...
Yeah, and everyone's like, are you really going to leave? And Willow's like, oh, yeah, she has somewhere really important to be.
Yeah,
and Xander's
Willow's
like,
down. Willow's down as like a wing lady, wing girl.
Woman.
Yeah, she's always helping Buffy out of these situations.
So Giles eventually, I got handed to Giles. He's like, you know what? You should rest up. You should go.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, Giles, some growth.
We've seen this scene before. He's done that where he's like, oh yeah, I guess you won't be that much help here. Yeah, you can go. But he doesn't think she's going ice skating with.
Yeah.
And when she's like, oh, you should rest up. And it's like, oh, cool. And then as she's leaving, she says, I got places to be. And it's like, that doesn't sound like resting. That's not how you leave.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write a million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
So then she leaves, and then we see a scene of her just ice skating alone in this. How did she get in? But she's she's the Slayer.
Yeah.
She's ice skating alone, and she's doing some twists and turns, and it's all very impressive and shows that, she was pretty good at ice skating.
Yeah, Sarah Michelle Gellar can actually ice skate. It looks like I didn't see a lot of. There's some overhead shots, but there wasn't a ton of stunt stuff, and she was doing some twists and stuff. So she's yeah. I don't know why she's ice skating without Angel.
Yeah,
I thought they were supposed to meet up, but she's just having her own. Like, I don't even know if she knows Angel's going to show up.
Yeah, because Angel's not there, and she was ice skating by herself for a while.
Yeah,
but then we see the metalhead biker guy kind of looming in the background, like, oh. And then we cut to commercial. Then we cut back, and Buffy's still ice skating, and then she falls in the most awful and forced way possible.
Yeah. She's been like doing the most twist and like figure eights, and then all of a sudden she just like trips over like a shoelace, it looks like.
Yeah, and then she falls in the most unnatural way and lands in the most unnatural way, and she just kind of slides her butt to where her back is up against the board. And then she's like, ooh, that was really weird. Huh. And then dun 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 dun. The metalhead biker guy grabs her by the throat and pulls her up, and he starts attacking her, and then she starts fighting back, and then Angel shows up and he makes the save, and he's got his vampire face on, and he's going toe to toe with this bounty hunter guy, and then Buffy slits his throat with the ice skate.
It might be one of my favorite kills that Buffy has done so far.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of one that's so... this one's dark. They obviously don't show any blood or anything because of, TV ratings and stuff. But, man, she comes over and just straight up slits his throat with the ice skate.
Yeah. She just sidekicks him right into the throat.
Yeah.
With the blade. And I was like, damn, dude, that is brutal.
Yeah. And that is the difference between a slayer and the regular martial artist.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So yeah, then that dude dies, and then Angel is like looking at him like, who is this person? Why is he attacking you? He sees the ring, and it's the ring of the Order of Taraka. And he's like, Buffy, you need to get out of here. These guys are dangerous. And she's like, there's all kinds of danger. Like, I'm used to it. And he's like, no, but this is serious. These guys are real bad guys.
Like, that statement, I love that Buffy calls out, like, how are these people more dangerous than anybody?
Yeah, she's like, I fought the Master.
Yeah.
I wish Angel would have quipped back, like, you got killed by the Master.
And then she would have gone back into, like, evil Buffy mode, like,
yeah,
rebel Buffy mode. She just starts sexy dancing on the ice.
With the corpse of the dead guy.
We almost get that, basically. Like, what happens next is, like, the strangest thing.
Yeah, so he's like, you should leave. And then Buffy's like, no, I'm not going to leave. And then Angel says something about like, he's embarrassed.
Well, Angel still has the vampire face on, and he's got a bloody cut on the top of his, like, he's got like a TV show cut on his forehead, right? And she goes to touch it. He's like, oh no, you shouldn't have to touch me when I'm like this. Which is weird because can he not turn back immediately? Like, I don't know what that means. And then she's like, I didn't even notice. Like, it didn't even bother me that you were in full vampire mode. And she touches his face, and then they start making out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we cut like a little wider, and the dead guy is at their feet while they're just making out. Like, it is the like strangest imagery.
It's like, oh, babe, you just slit a guy's throat with your ice skate.
It's so like,
I'm a full-on vampire right now.
It's like some natural born killers type stuff.
It's a perfect time to smooch.
Yeah. And then we see that I think her name is Kendra, right?
Yeah, the sexy black lady is looming in the background as she's watching all of this go down. And yeah, then we're like, oh, okay, well, there's the next Order of Taraka person coming to attack Buffy. And we're like, oh boy, can't wait for that fight. So then Buffy goes back to the library, and she's like, yeah, Angel found this ring. And then Giles is like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, we forgot there's a Super Bowl ring reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Giles is like, yeah, these people are really dangerous. Buffy, you really need to hide. And then Xander's like making jokes. He's like talking about the Super Bowl. And then Giles is like, Xander, this is not a time for jokes. Yeah. And Xander's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was like, he's joked about less. I mean, he's joked about stuff that was more dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, I love that they keep trying to ratchet up. And I know that's what they have to do in this show is ratchet up the, oh my God, this is a real danger. But we're, I don't know, we're only on season 2. And like, I mean, this one seems like not that dangerous. She killed this guy pretty easy.
Yeah. Like all it took was a regular human kick to the throat with an ice skate. Like, that's not.
But the line was, when they're at the skating rink, Angel finds the ring and he goes like, oh my God, you know what this means? And she goes, I just killed the Super Bowl champ. And it's a pretty funny line for her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, this means it's all 3 of the Turek people. Oh my God, you're in trouble. Run.
Yeah. But after that, Giles is like, you really need to run. You need to hide. And then Buffy's like, Angel told me to do the same thing. Yeah. And Giles kind of gives her the history of what the Order of Taraka do. And he's like, it's not just one assassin that's coming to kill you. It's a whole order. Like, if you kill one, there's another one waiting and trying to kill you. You kill that one, there's another one. You kill that one, there's another one.
And he's like, you won't know, you won't see them coming, and they can be anyone.
Yeah. And he's like, they could be anyone. They aren't vampires. Some of them are demons. Some of them are just regular humans. They can be anything. And then we cut
to like a John Wick, like assassins level stuff. Yeah.
And then we cut to the worm guy who has the Blush Boutique person that killed Buffy's next door neighbor. And he's like stalking Buffy's house. He's got binoculars. and he's made of worms. How is he deadly? How did he kill that lady?
He probably could just strangle her.
I mean, because the door...
I don't know what him being made of worms actually is a power.
Yeah,
it reminded me of I don't know how I stumbled across this, but there's a Spider-Man villain that was in a comic called The Thousand, and it's a villain that's made up of like 1,000 spiders, and it can kill you from the inside and just takes over your body.
Oh God!
And it's real creepy. That's about as much as I know of it. And once I saw this, like basically we see like he's missing a hand.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get some 90s VFX of these mealworms turning into his hand. And I don't understand how this power works. It's a little creepy.
Yeah,
that's it. Maybe that's how he feeds. I don't know.
It's just how quickly, like from when he closed the door to walk into the neighbor's house to the scream, like how I guess if he just turned into a bunch of worms, that would get a lady to scream.
Yeah.
But like, how did he end up killing her? Because she's dead on the floor.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then we see him like reincarnate his hand with worms.
Yeah. The bigger question is not like how he killed her, but why his hand needs to be reincarnated anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it looks cool.
I guess so. So after that speech that Giles gave her, Buffy's now on edge and she's paranoid and she suspects everyone around her could be an Order of Taraka person. And then
my favorite is the guy that walks past.
Is the comb guy?
The comb guy, yeah.
Yeah.
The guy walks by and he whips out a comb, one of those like switchblade combs, and like fake combs his hair as he walks past.
Menacingly, he's staring at Buffy menacingly.
And he doesn't look like a teacher or it's an old guy just walking through.
And he just like reaches into his suit pocket and then whips out that comb and like menacingly combs his hair as he walks by Buffy. I was like, who is that guy? But yeah, so she's looking and she's suspecting everyone. And then from behind her, Oz, Seth Green, is walking very, very quickly. And Buffy turns around, chokes him, slams up against a wall, and then she goes, "Try it, I dare you." And then Oz, not concerned at all, there's no panic in his voice. He just goes, "What do you want me to try?" And I was like, what? Also, if Buffy hadn't turned around and grabbed him and choked him, he would have just slammed right into the back of her. Like he was walking so fast, so close. He would have just like shoulder checked her so hard.
I'll say this. I can't wait till Oz gets,
acknowledged.
A real scene.
Yeah.
Like it's just like he's not a real person yet. Like at the end of this, he's just like she lets him go. He's like tense person.
Yeah.
And like he just I don't know what he is yet. Like I'm waiting for him to become a character in the show.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to turn into a reptile still.
Maybe.
But yeah, like this would have been a perfect time for him to be like, "You're always hanging out with that red-haired girl or something." But instead, Buffy's just like,
also said, "Who's that girl?"
Yeah,
if that was his line for 7 seasons, it would be amazing. That's all he shows up and just asks. He doesn't know who anyone is.
But yeah, so she chokes him and he's like, "What do you want me to try?" And she's like, "I'm so sorry. Sorry, I'm spazzing out." And then he's like, "I'm still wondering what you want me to try." And she leaves and he's like, "Oh, you're super tense." What the whatever, dude. So then Buffy's roaming the streets at night alone after like her paranoid freak out on Oz, and she looks at her house and she's like, "Oof, I don't think my house is safe. I don't feel safe in it. I'm paranoid. So I'm going to go over to where Angel lives, and I'm going to go to Angel's house." And yeah.
Angel's got a pretty decent setup.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
But also there's a scene of like Giles and Willow and Xander, like they don't know where Buffy is. And then Giles is like, oh, I guess we told her to run away, and she did. Yeah. So then we get to Buffy being in Angel's place. She breaks in, starts snooping around and looking around, and then she just lays on his bed, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep.
She's got an interesting outfit on, too. It's like these high-waisted baggy pants, that, like, oversized flannel shirt.
Yeah, she looks like a mom.
Yeah, it's like her undercover vibe. Like, yeah, she looks much older. It's like a much older person's look than what we've seen her in before. I don't know. It was interesting. And then she just gets on bed and passes out.
Yeah. So while she's doing that, because Angel's not at his apartment. So you're like, where's Angel? What's he up to? We see Angel walk into a pool hall. And he's like, hey, what's up there, Willie? And Willie is this like kind of squirrely looking dude. He looks...
He's from he's Chet in Bad Boys 1 and 2.
Okay.
And he's also Mocha Joe in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the actor.
So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he looks like somebody that you would cast in a 1950s thing, and he's supposed to be playing like one of the Four Seasons.
He kind of plays that same role, like that information fast talking. Hey, why are you doing this? Like, don't do this kind of thing. Yeah, like that's his thing.
Like this the rat.
Yeah.
So we Angel.
I mean, his name in the credits is Willie the Snitch.
Ah, okay. Yeah, because all I see is Willie, but yeah, Willie the Snitch is great. Like he's an informant type of guy. And I guess this is where Angel is always getting his information from.
I really hope this guy comes back because this opens the world up a little bit more.
Absolutely, it does. I really liked it. It was like we were always wondering, how does Angel know all this stuff? Where is Angel getting this information?
Yeah.
Now we know it's from Willie. And so Angel shows up and he's asking him about the Order of Taraka. And he's like, who sent them? And Willie's like, dude, I can't tell you that. Yeah. And then he slams his head onto a thing and he's like, was it Spike? And then Willie's like, dude, you know it's Spike.
Yeah, that was my thought when I'm watching the scene. Who do you think sent them? There's only, the rest of the vampires aren't smart enough to do that or care. If you're just a regular vampire, you're like, stay away from the Slayer, kill on the other side of town.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
It's so easy.
Yeah. She doesn't even want to slay. She doesn't even want to kill you vampires. Like, she's not actively... Like, every time she does it, she's like, oh, I gotta kill another vampire. Just stay under her radar.
If the vampires heard her conversations with Giles, they'd be like, dude, you don't need to. Like, it's fine. Just don't take it.
There's definitely going to be some episode where they try to make a treaty with the vampires. I can't wait.
So, yeah, after Angel's, like, bullying this poor guy for information that he already knows... the sexy black lady shows up, Kendra, and she starts whooping the shit out of Angel. And Angel turns full vampire and he starts fighting Kendra. And she locks him in a cage. And he's like, you gotta let me out of here. She's like, look at that. Also, we haven't heard Kendra talk until this point.
Yeah.
And I did not expect to hear what I heard.
Yeah, it's a really bad, which I can only assume is like a South African accent.
I don't know. I couldn't play. I was like, is this supposed to be Jamaican? Like, what Caribbean?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because it's like a lot of ting. Like,
and her voice is like a lot higher pitched than I thought it was going to be too.
Yeah, and the actress is, I believe, Bianca Lawson, and she's floated around in a few things. I kind of recognize her face. I couldn't pinpoint exactly where I've seen her.
She looked really familiar.
Yeah. I know she's been in some like teen drama type things. But
yeah. So she locks Angel in a cage that's very reminiscent of the library prison. And there's open windows and she's like, the sun's going to start rising in a couple hours and you're locked in here, buddy. So good luck surviving this.
Oh, she was in Dawson's Creek for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Save the Last Dance.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Is that the Mandy Moore movie?
No, I think that's the...
That's A Walk to Remember?
I think that's the... Save the Last Dance is the... What's her name? Julia Stiles.
Okay, yeah. She was in every one of those movies. Julia Stiles.
What
a throwback.
and breaking down racial barriers with dancing, you know. And I guess she's in Pretty Little Liars and stuff. So she's been floating around it. Bianca Lawson's been floating around in some stuff. Queen Sugar recently. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't believe that's her accent at all.
It can't
I don't believe
be
that's I don't believe that's a person's accent.
That accent was so bad. I was shocked. Like when I heard, I was like, "Wow!" I was not expecting.
I was like,
this.
"Cool kicks, cool punches." Oh no, what is this?
Yeah. Well, her first words, it was so high pitched, I couldn't. I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that voice." And then she continued talking. I was like, "I was not expecting that accent." Yeah. But she's cool.
Yeah, that's why she had to store it. That's why she had to like hop on the back of a plane to get to Sunnydale. You know, all those cargo planes coming from Jamaica or South Africa.
Yeah. But we also... So she knows that Angel is like a defender of Buffy. So we're still kind of like, she's going to go kill Buffy now. She's the Order of Taraka person. Giles is then researching. And then he tells Xander to go to Buffy's house. Willow fell asleep at the library. And then this is where we find out that Dulac's book is meant to bring vampires back to health, back to full strength. And so then Xander and Cordelia go to Buffy's house. And then Xander makes mention of Cordelia being part of the Scooby Gang.
I wrote that down and highlighted it. It was amazing because I've been referencing them as the mystery team since season 1.
Yeah, he's like, hey, if you want to be part of the Scooby Gang, you're going to have to come in on some of these missions.
Yeah, and I was like, that's awesome. They know what they are.
Yeah, exactly.
But there was a scene, there was a moment when they're learning what the book does and stuff, where Giles wakes up Willow, who fell asleep, and he says,
I don't want the tadpoles.
Don't warn the tadpoles. And he was like, what? And I
thought it was don't want the tadpoles.
Don't want or don't warn. I wasn't sure which one it was. I couldn't really tell. But it was something about tadpoles. And then she mentions that she has a fear of frogs. Right? Yeah. So, this is not going to happen. But if Oz turned out to be an amphibian,
there we go, reptile boy.
It would really tie into her fear of frogs. So there's your...
There we go, dude.
Yeah.
They had to shoehorn that. That was like such a weird...
It has to mean something because it can't just... They do random stuff normally, but... Like, because Buffy went on a tangent before about something like, what's the whole 9 yards? Like, that's their normal stuff. Or like, what's a sore thumb? Those are their like Whedonisms. But the tadpoles thing seems like it's a setup for her phobia. Like her being afraid to be on stage and all of her having to do public speaking stuff.
Or there'll be some kind of plague thing where it's raining frogs. And she'll be like, oh no. She'll Indiana Jones it. Frogs. Why did it have to be frogs? So while Xander is investigating Buffy's house, the worm guy, he shows up and Cordelia answers the door while Xander's like somewhere else. He's like, hey, can I interest you in some free samples from Beauty Boutique? And then Cordelia's like, free samples? Come on into this house that's not my house.
Yeah, because I did like when they were walking up, there's a really interesting exchange because throughout this whole episode and last episode, Cordelia and Xander have such an antagonistic, they're gonna hook up relationship.
Yeah.
And they're walking there, and she's like, because I forget, they were like, go wake up Cordelia and have her give you a ride to Buffy's, which seemed insane because I don't know where they live in relation to each other. Yeah. And she's like, what am I? Just your mass transportation? And he says, that's what some of the guys say, but you know, that's all locker room talk. Like on their way in, before the Scooby line. And I was like, wow, locker room talk. And cradle robbing in the same episode.
Yeah.
They don't miss a beat.
No. We're going to have to like move from The Simpsons did it first to like Buffy predicted it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then the worm guy goes into Buffy's house and Cordelia's in danger.
Were you waiting for Cordelia to scream?
Yes.
Because it's the exact same time frame as the last time he went into a house.
Yep.
And
I was waiting for it.
And I do like that Xander is willing to try to save his friend, even though he knows he might die. Like, he's really... That's the one great thing about him. Like, he is willing to put himself in danger to save Willow or Buffy or others.
He is heroic.
Yes.
Like, you cannot... And not just when he's military guy.
Yeah. When he's military guy, like, he could get rid of all the vampires in town, I think, if he was a military guy. Yeah.
But no, he is definitely heroic, and he is trying super hard. Like, I mean, he saved Cordelia once before, right? And she was like, I want to thank you. And he's like, get out of here.
Yeah. He might be a little oblivious when, there's a come on. But he goes upstairs. So he's upstairs when this creepy worm guy comes in, who I'm excited about because he has this not Buffy world mentality to him. Like, if he was just a regular person, not worms, and he was just a psycho, like in what's that movie with the friendo, the guy with the cattle prod. I'm drawing the blank. It's the Coen Brothers movie. With that killer. God, what
No
is it?
Country for Old Men?
Yeah, No Country for Old Men. Like, he has that kind of vibe of like a sociopath that'll just kill just because he has to,
I'm excited to see how he fights. Because I can't fathom it.
It's going to be really bad special effects. And I feel bad for the actors having to have these worms thrown at them. That's what I feel about it. Because they're going to cover Cordelia with them. They are.
Yeah. One's going to go into her mouth.
It's like one of the worst days she's ever probably had on set. Hopefully it's the only worst day.
Then he goes into the house. Then we cut to Angel still trying to escape from the cage, and we see the sun starting to come up, and he's like, oh, damn it, I'm going to die.
Use that jacket, buddy.
It's like fully morning where Xander and Cordelia are. Like, it is.
Yeah, but it's still out. The sun has to get to a certain spot to really
that's
direct
true.
Sunlight. No.
So Buffy's asleep in Angel's bed, and then she wakes up, and then Kendra, the sexy black terrible accent lady, attacks her.
Wait, I got a question. Can Willie just unlock that cage? Isn't he still around?
Guess.
It's in this bar, right?
I guess so.
Okay. That's probably how he's going to get out.
I mean, if all Angel needs to do is just stay in the shade, this seems like it's going to be pretty easy to survive.
Well, I feel like it's going to be like direct sun just hitting right in that cage. Whatever this magical cage, it's like Giles' cage in the library. Like, I don't know what this cage is there for.
Well, we saw like last episode? Yeah, last episode, Philip, the zombie guy, he just busted out of that locked cage. Like, I don't know the strength levels of anyone in this show.
Yeah, it's just a padlock, and you would think he would be able to just drop kick it open.
Yeah, I just don't understand how powerful anyone is.
But I think Willie's just going to get up. Isn't Willie like knocked out in the other room?
Yeah. I mean, Angel could just be like, Willie.
And Willie's like, oh, I got TV headache. And he stumbles over there. And he's like, I don't know where the key is. He's like, find something. He's stumbling around for like a crowbar. Just those crowbars that are just lying around. Watch none of this come true next episode.
Yeah. So Buffy wakes up, and Kendra, the sexy black lady with the terrible accent, starts attacking Buffy. Buffy's giving her Spider-Man Peter Parker quips while she's fighting. Mm-hmm. It's like, I would rather be back in dreamland and whatever. And then she's fighting, and then Kendra like gets her pinned down, and Buffy goes, are you really going to make me do the girl thing? And Kendra's like, what? And then Buffy digs her nails into her and then pulls her hair.
Yeah, she says the chick fight thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? I wasn't even really sure what that meant.
I knew exactly what it meant. I knew she was going to pull her hair. I didn't anticipate the nails, but I knew the hair was going to get pulled.
I wonder when. So Giles has not taught her that. That's just something that she learned in high school.
Yeah. So then they're fighting and they're beating each other up. And then Buffy says something about like, oh, I guess you're the next Order of Taraka assassin. And Kendra's like, what? No. I'm Kendra, the vampire slayer. And I was like, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. That's a really good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we're early into the show and we already got another Slayer.
Yep. We're only in season 2.
It also makes me think, what's the third hitman? Hit bounty hunter.
I mean, what if Kendra's just lying and saying that she's a Slayer?
I just don't think there's a reason to say it here.
I will say, this is kind of, I guess, a little spoiler, but I'm guessing that Kendra does stick around or something because she has a blue, like, you read more about Kendra on Wikipedia.
I mean, she's definitely going to be in the next episode and maybe pop in a little bit more. Yeah, because when she fights almost exactly like Buffy.
It's all karate kicks.
It's all karate kicks. That's why I had the thought, like, can we just train anyone to do karate kicks?
Yeah.
Because that seems like the only way to fight vampires.
Yeah, karate kicks and a wooden stake.
And they're not, and sometimes the vampires aren't even that strong. Like, you can see, like, Xander holding one off or something, you know?
Yeah, all you need is a cross.
Yeah. But, like, even physically, like, you could just, like, hold one and stop them from, like, biting you.
Yeah, because I was always just under the assumption that vampires are stronger, but I guess that's not true.
They shouldn't get tired at all. That's the one thing vampires shouldn't get, because they don't really have blood pumping. They don't need to breathe.
Yeah, that's true.
Angel should be freezing cold, which he kind of is, because the one guy shakes his hand and he's like, oh, you're cold. Because he has, like, no blood coursing through his body. He has, like, no temperature. It'd be...
Well, how did he get a cut on his head then?
I mean, they can get cut and bleed. They have blood in them, but they don't have a heart pumping it, it feels like. I don't know. I mean, they drink blood. It doesn't even make sense.
Joe, none of this makes sense. I think this show's a bunch of bullshit, Vance.
I do like that Willie the snitch was like, oh, I can get you some good pig blood or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that also answers like, hey, this is how Angel's been surviving.
Yeah.
But yeah, bomb dropped. Kendra, another Slayer. After Buffy made such a big deal about like, I'm the only one, I'm the only Slayer, this is blah, blah, blah. Then we get like, I'm Kendra, I'm the other Slayer.
I'm not even going to try, like, the accent, so...
It's terrible.
Yeah, I think you're right. It might be more like Caribbean, Jamaican.
Yeah, I can't place it.
It's a lot of don't you knows and tangs. Yeah.
I'm no language accent expert, but that sounded like it's from nowhere. Like, that sounded like nothing.
It's like they were like, okay, we need to try this. Where's she from? Throw something out. Yeah,
figure it out.
Yeah, whatever you think you're good at doing accents.
Yeah, and the actress is like, I've always wanted to try this.
Yeah.
Made like that wasn't even in the script. That's just a choice the actor made.
They're like, all right.
Okay, whatever, you know.
Yeah. she couldn't be from another part of America, you know.
Nah.
It's only one Slayer in America, and it has to be Buffy, you know.
Yeah.
What if she just was from New York and just had a really strong Bronx accent or something?
Jamaica Queens.
Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck? I'm a fucking not a Slayer.
I feel like if you're a Slayer in New York, like, you just have a lot more edge.
Yeah.
I mean, Buffy's an LA Slayer, so I mean, you know.
Sunnydale.
LA's got she was
in LA.
LA's got a lot of weird people roaming around. So she probably killed some random people that weren't vampires when she first started.
Dude, that mistake could definitely be made. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder if that's going to happen. That would add some nice drama, like a nice episode where Buffy's losing her mind because she killed the wrong person. I mean, there's so many episodes. They got to throw that in there somewhere. Something's got
to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the end of our episode for What's That Line? What's that? What's My Line? Part 1. You got any last thoughts, Vance, before we wrap this bad boy up?
Buffy's good at one-liners, not good at excuses.
Very true. She's terrible at lying.
Yeah.
Terrible at lying. So stick around. Obviously, the next episode is What's My Line Part 2. Got any predictions for it, Vance?
I'm looking forward to Buffy asking the new Slayer what she does for a living or how she makes money.
Yeah. Or even being like, do you have a watcher? What's your watcher like?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kind of like that scene. There's a spoiler for the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, spoilers for Spider-Man. Not full spoilers, but spoilers.
Yeah. But like that scene where they're all like kind of on that tower and they're like, do you have the Avengers? And like, what? No, I fought like this guy and we have this. And I'm looking forward to that scene with Kendra. Hopefully that happens.
Yes. And I'm also looking forward to Spike and figuring out more about this Drusilla. I want Drusilla to get cured.
Yeah.
She's not.
She's going to get killed.
I think she lasts a little longer in the show.
Do you think when
she has to get cured so we can see like there has to be more with her and Angel.
I want to see her get cured and then just be mega powerful.
Yeah.
Like that'd be super cool.
Yeah, because there's a lot there that I don't understand.
Here we go. Long-term prediction. Drusilla gets mega powerful and then she starts abusing Spike. And then Spike turns on her, and that's how he becomes kind of an anti-hero, kind of good guy in the series.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's got to turn somewhat good guy-ish at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, that's enough. That's good enough for our predictions here.
We've been wrong before. We'll be wrong again.
Yeah, whatever. Screw it. Who cares? All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram, Boys Watching Buffy. Email in boyswatchingbuffy@gmail.com. And I think that we're working on something else that we can try and maybe get started. Trying to do kind of like a... we'll figure it out. When we get to it, we'll announce it. Yeah. But we're working on something.
Yeah, we got something in store for you guys, based off of a listener suggestion, actually, which we're going to take to heart.
Yeah, and dude, again... really appreciate those messages and emails that you guys send in. Really appreciate it. And stay tuned for our next episode where we're talking about What's My Line Part 2.
Canapé. Tune into the Salsa Kings Network. Crack one open if you dare, creeps.